MYAirline is attempting to be the new kid on the block in Malaysia's aviation scene, taking on the more established names as the sector stumbles towards recovery. But given how difficult the airline industry is and the murkiness of who actually is backing it, will MYAirline manage to take off? We asked CEO Rayner Teo this question. The first question I want to ask, I suppose a lot of people are probably asking, is why? Why are you putting up an airline now? I mean, it's not so much that we are in recovery, that part I know is true, but even before the pandemic, people were already saying that Malaysia's airspace was already oversaturated, too many options. And even with the pandemic, you still have very strong players in the market. So why did you set up an airline, especially now?
The idea of starting a new airline in Malaysia started like about 2 years ago. And that was during the height of COVID, when we were undergoing numerous lockdowns, right? And during that time, when we were actually thinking about this new venture, the thought was that the only time in order for us to come in and to be successful is actually very hinged towards the overall timing of things, right? When everything is down, and in all of the segments of industry, it goes through cycles, right?
Of course.
Especially the aviation industry. So you go through like a 10 to 12 year cycle, and COVID, right, posed a lot of challenges, but also a lot of opportunities as well. Everybody who were operating at that point of time were to a very large extent struggling because all the planes were grounded.
Yeah, I think suffering is probably a more accurate way of putting it. Everybody was.
Correct. So to that extent, right, that was a very good opportunity for somebody new to basically come into the space, because you get to leverage on several factors, right? And everything boils down to being able to have your cost efficiencies there, right? So even when one of the strongest players in this market first started, after a few months, it was a major downturn because there was a global event that happened during that time, right? And that was one of the reasons why they were able to achieve a lot of cost efficiencies, and that's how they grew from strength to strength, right? So this is, if you compare between the two, 20 years apart, I think when it comes to COVID, at this point of time, nothing is bigger than that now.
And I suppose, like you said, now is a great opportunity to because the lessors really want to do their planes, there will be, a lot of pilots let go that you can just sort of snap up. Is that the opportunities you saw those 2 years ago, that you expected that this was going to happen?
Yeah, I think you've rightly pointed it out. The two items that you have just mentioned, planes, we are seeing the benefits of really getting really good planes, really good deals. And we have secured as many planes as we can. And at the same time, in terms of hiring talent, including pilots, it was much easier, during the time when we first started operations. We are still seeing the benefits of it at this point of time, but we are also wary that at some point of time in the future, maybe next year, you'll see some changes for sure.
When you say see some changes, what do you mean?
When recovery happens.
Yes.
Right. So technically, then you would definitely see some changes in terms of the economics of things.
The one thing I have question about cost, right? Of course, you're saying that with how the industry is structured, I assume in terms of like leasing the planes and everything like that, the terms have become either slightly better because of the pandemic. But fuel is one of those things that remains one of the toughest cost controls. Never mind that the ringgit now is very, very, very low against the USD, and that's what you buy jet fuel in. So how are you going to control that?
Fuel goes up and down, right?
Yes.
It has declined slightly over the past week. But I think everybody pays the same amount for the fuel that they consume. And if the prices that I've seen reflects the cost of fuel, which I believe it does at this point of time, I think we'll be good. And the fares have gone up, right?
Yeah, they have gone up. So is that, so you're passing that cost? They will be passing that cost?
We have seen them passing the costs.
Yeah.
So we will have strategies in terms of how we will address in terms of the actual fuel cost, right?
Okay, so when you mean strategies in like how you buy it, or?
It'll be a balance of both. But technically, the cost is cost, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So end of the day, it will reflect in terms of fares directly, or you put in an additional component of fee, which technically is normally the fuel surcharge component, which I believe most of the carriers now apply. So at some point of time, when fuel goes down, which we believe that it will, then it will balance out in terms of that sense.
The main thing is that airlines are notoriously expensive to run. And it's one of those things where of all the things that control your cost, of all the things that control, demand, a lot of it is out of your control. So with that being said, you do need to have slightly deep pockets or at least good financial connections to kind of do it. So who is bankrolling MYAirline?
We have a local businessman that is primarily looking into this side of the business.
Okay.
And technically, the fact that we have managed to get our air services license, even though it's provisional, I believe we have already, basically put it up front that we have the capabilities.
This investor, it's what is his commitment in terms of how many planes, or what is his sort of return from it? What is it that he wants to see from his initial investment, like 2 routes, 3 routes? What's he hoping to get for his buck?
This is an intense business.
Yes.
Not an easy business, for sure.
For sure.
And we are also very wary about how things would go, right? Competition is always there. And we have been very conservative in doing our forecasts. And we have not made any, over-promised anything, right? But we will definitely do our best in terms of making sure that we get good returns. Maybe not immediately, but over a short period of time. That's the goals that we have.
What is your final fleet size that you are looking at? And the reason I also ask this is, we mentioned the 320s, but are you going to go for the single model fleet or the mixed model fleet?
One of the core DNAs for a low-cost carrier is basically a single family type, single fleet. We have a final target in terms of a 5-year plan and going beyond to a 7-year plan. So we are looking at large numbers. And if I were to state a number, we would definitely be going for more than 50 planes.
What will be your focus in terms of offering to the consumer? What is it you're going to offer them that competitors, you think, will not be able to offer, or maybe something just as good?
We would basically strive to ensure that we do not offer a product that is just as good, but a product that is much better, much superior. That's what our entire team is working towards. So seats, right? When we talk about seats, all our planes will have brand new seats, and we are basically the first carrier globally to actually use these seats. They are manufactured from an Italian company, and latest technology, super lightweight, but very comfortable seats. So that will be one of our key USPs. The other part that we'll be focused on is basically customer service. One of the general feedback that we always hear, right, is that it's very hard after you have made the purchase to try to talk to somebody.
To a human, technically,
yes.
yes.
After that, right?
Yeah.
So that is one of the points that we will also be looking at. And when we talk about ancillary products, we will ensure that we will have the right offering in terms of what our passengers will be able to purchase.
Are you going to fight on price as hard? Like, are you going to follow the dynamic pricing that the airline industry in general follows?
Competition will always be there, right, in the market.
That's true.
But we believe that we should allow the natural progression of demand and supply to take place. So definitely we will focus more in terms of our product offering and gearing that up towards the willingness, to actually pay for what you will be receiving.
So it's not a purely price fight, is it?
I mean, for the last many years, it's been price fight, right?
Yeah, it has been.
Right, and it's not done well for any of the current people in this industry.
Because you're in this business and you've been in this business for a while, when do you think people will truly be... I know that a lot of people are saying that, airline industry is back, people are clamoring for demand. That is both true and not really true, because some people are still very wary. Where do you think the full recovery of the industry is realistically based on everything we see now?
based on everything we see now, and
Yep.
based on the fact that different people you ask, right, will have a different answer.
That is also very true.
So I do see that things would come back. It is already coming back gradually now. You will see it coming back stronger next year, and maybe from 2024, for sure.